Chinese people who disagree with the Communist Party of China have fled China for many places, but very often the United States, where they have been more or less safe. They say, however, now that they feel increasingly unsafe, that there are growing threats, harassment, and even attacks on them in the United States itself as China's security services and its public security bureaus grow increasingly bold and even brazen in how they are chasing down dissidents across the world. I spoke to about a dozen outspoken critical democracy advocates, people who dissent from the Communist Party of China's view of the world, if you like, who live in the United States and in parts of Europe, who say that they increasingly are afraid of the harassment being directed at them, which can come through the telephone, through text messages, sometimes people calling at their door. One woman I spoke to has men ringing her doorbell downstairs at all hours of the day because her name has been included in some lists as an alleged prostitute. She is nothing of the kind, but this is also a harassment tactic. And they're afraid of their security, their safety overseas, outside of China, lessening now as well.
我希望中国警察、中国警方看到我这个视频以后，不要再来骚扰我你们所有跟我说的话给我发的信息给我留的东西，我都会记录在案。将来如果不管谁来找我，我都会将来告诉记者或者报告英国的政府。因为我觉得这种做法完全是非法的完全是根本就是和我们这个普世价值，这个我非常憎恨这种，我特别讨厌，特别恨他们骗我，他们 他们 they treat me like an idiot 我根本就不会上他这个当，所以说呢，不要在我身上再去花浪费时间，好不好？我这里有很多的客人都是从大陆跑过来的，但是你中国警方不要在我身上浪费时间。这就是我最后的 message。我说你回去了就像一块肉，就像一个 meat 在一个 table 上面，他们可以随意的把你切。你一旦进入中国了，你就没有价值了，因为现在我说你是主动的。现在他们是为了他们的工作成绩，他们可以跟你说很多的好话，可以 promise you 很多的 condition， 给你很多 condition。那么但是你一旦回去了以后，你就这些东西都没有用，他们随便就说一句话解释一下，哎呀对不起我当时是这样的，但是我的上面的人不同意。如果竟然是局长说，哎呀对不起那个 provincial 那个 police station 不同意，如果你不服还可以上诉。怎么可以警察在电话里面跟你 negotiation 跟你谈判，说我给你几年不行再给你缓刑保证你不坐牢？这个就说明根本就没有 legal system 的。这样就是这些中国这些警察，他们in order 他们就是为了达到目的，他们不择手段，他们什么都可以做in order get what they want, they can do anyway.
A human rights group called Safeguard Defenders put out a report that attracted a lot of attention. They identified the locations of multiple so-called police stations overseas run by the Chinese police, who are called the Public Security Bureau. Now, these so-called police stations are in reality a kind of police contact point through which the PSB or police in China work overseas.
We came across these overseas police stations. They're completely illegal under international law, under any national law. Territorial sovereignty does not allow anyone to just set up a police station. I mean, it's almost funny. The Communist Party of China always goes on about non-interference into internal affairs, but I think this is the most far-reaching operation one can set up, and to do it openly, but they're getting away with it. And I repeat, this is so shocking. Obviously, the existence of these overseas service police stations, they are blatantly violating the territorial sovereignty of every single state on whose territories they've been running these kind of operations, be it through the online means, through the physical means. Every single part of this is illegal.
Very often what we're finding is that these police contact points or police stations are in fact housed in hometown associations or chambers of commerce overseas that have very close ties to the United Front. The United Front Work Department in China is a department that is directly under the Central Committee of the Communist Party. So it's a very important part of the Communist Party, and its aim is to create as much support as possible for the Communist Party inside China and also around the world everywhere. It does this by isolating what it considers to be enemies of the party and trying to get on board and convince and bring over through business deals or pressure or really a multitude of actions to bring over everyone else to support the Communist Party. The system we have is that the United Front works through overseas associations, for example, hometown associations based on a place of shared origin in China, like a provincial association or a chamber of commerce, and it builds out its influence. In reality, these organizations are civil society organizations. Now, whether they're fully legal in terms of whether there are foreign agents involved in them, that's an issue that does need to be sorted out by the Justice Department and by the US government. However, there is also an aspect to them which is completely normal. We need a lot more transparency about their activities. The other issue we need to think a lot more about is the question of assimilation. So people think that one reason why the party is able to influence so strongly among overseas Chinese communities is because that they're not really fully assimilating into their environment, that they're susceptible to being pulled back to China, to being what's called sons and daughters of China, to the eternal call of the motherland, which is how the leaders in China talk about things. And then is that a question of choice or of pressure? It gets tricky, but I do think that people are fairly clear at this point that greater assimilation will be a help in solving this problem.